I'm gonna be making a video about vectors and their applications for my IE application for EECS 183. So I'm gonna break down my video into three parts. The first part is gonna be what actually are vectors. The second part is gonna be what how to declare and initialize a vector, and the third part is how the demonstration how vector like actually how to use vectors, what do we do with them, all those things. So first, let's start with what vectors actually are. So vectors, like containers, are arrays, not containers. Containers, like containers, let's say, container. Are things that you actually put a lot of different data points in. So, for example, if you have like 1,000 different arrays, different variables, let's say, all of them have different values, and it will be a big problem if you don't have a systematic way of actually accessing each and every one of those like values, right? So you need a vector or an array. Vectors are specifically used on top of arrays because when you have an array, you don't really um, uh, so you can't set if you don't know the size, it'll be hard to initialize. It'll be hard to declare it, and if you don't, arrays are immutable, so you can't really delete an element of an array. So let's start with how to actually declare a vector. Declaring a vector is easy. You have to have this expression on top. Then you need the keyword vector. You need a data type which is int. In this case, I'm going to use an int, and you need a variable name. Let's say p, right? To initialize it with some values, you can use various different things. You can do you can declare it and initialize it at the same line, and you use a curly braces to initialize it with some values, right? Like this. If you have another vector, if you have another vector, let's say j, if you want to initialize j, you can use assignment operator to initialize it. Now there's also different ways, like you can also use a loop to initialize it. There are many different ways, and so yeah. Also, you can use like CSV files to actually like put some values in it. Those are for different things though, so I'm not going to talk about it now. So now I'm gonna do the demonstration. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna find the minimum value in a vector and then remove it. It's useful for many different things. It's used from like I think it is used as an intermediary step for many different type of algorithms and other stuff. So first of all, what do we do? For me at least, I would like to initialize and declare a variable called min. Find the minimum value, and then erase it. How do you do that? I use a for loop. It's easy to traverse an array using a for loop. And to find the size, you do x dot size. I will assume that you guys know what loops are. So yeah. Then what you do is I use a nested loop because I want each and every specific element of x of I to compare to every other element in the array, in the vector, sorry. And then you actually use it. So do the same thing here, and then we use a conditional operator to compare it. So for example, x of j. You can also use brackets to actually access a specific element in a specific position. Now you do this, and then what you do is if you get the minimum value, you say minimum equals j, right? Then after you find the minimum value, you erase it. So how do you do that? You use a keyword called erase right here. There's a constant iterator position. There's a thing called iterators. It's outside of the scope of this video, so I'm not going to use it. For this specific example, I'm just going to use a common way to do this. So we use x.begin. This is the iterator for begin, and then you use min, add the begin with min, and then you erase it. So for example, let's erase the least value in p, we remove underscore min, and then we use p. Then we use a specific for loop. This is a specific for loop. You don't really need to understand it right now, but yeah. So you do y, and you want an element on a. You want to print out the element on the terminal at every line. So let's run it. What will we get? We get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is exactly what happens after you cut out 0, which is the least element. Okay, so this is the end of my video. These are the basics of vectors. If you want to learn more, obviously go to internet. There are a lot of different resources, and talk to your teachers, I guess. But vectors are interesting concept. It is very powerful concept, and you can do a lot of things with them. Okay, this is it for me. Bye bye.